Hello my friends and welcome back to Absurdia! Today we're visiting the frigid north of Skaldheim. The continent/archipelago of Skaldheim is made up out of a bunch of small little islands that are just coated in snow. Life is pretty tough in the frigid north of Skaldheim. It snows all year round, it's very difficult for anything to grow here, and so Skaldheim doesn't have a king. Yeah, sure, it's got a bunch of warlords and war chiefs, but for the most part, there is no unified legion. It's mostly made up out of a bunch of random clans and tribes that are just fighting for territory and survival. The only part of Skaldheim that does have some type of authority over the others would be Yggdragard. Yggdragard would be the site of the Great Assembly. Think of it as basically being the fantasy equivalent of the United Nations. It's where all of the rulers of the world come together once a year to discuss world matters. Yggdragard is located at the foot of Mount Gelmir, the tallest mountain in the entire world. Or, at least in the known world. Carved into the side of the mountain is the statue of Bjornfrid, the veteran god of war and winter. A bit further east of Yggdragard is where we would find the Frost Forge. This is where the dwarves of Skaldheim gather to forge the great sky metals that they find in the Starfall Valley. These being, of course, meteoric ore from the galaxies above. Even further east is where we would find the floating islands of Valkar. Valkar is the ancestral home of the Aasimar. It is said that the Aasimar served Bjornfrid in the Great God War, and as such are still very sacred to him in this specific region of the world. A bit further east, bordering onto Eldavik, we find Valderfell. Valderfell is known as the Island of the Berserkers. Pretty self-explanatory as to why, because due to its very harsh nature, it has produced some of the greatest hunters and killers the world's ever known. Last but not least, to the east of Yggdragard, we have Yeti Isle. The image behind me is a little bit outdated though. There are Yetis that have traveled from Yeti Isle across Eldoria, and they don't all necessarily look this terrifying. But do you guys see that huge piece of ice north of Yeti Isle? Well, that is known as the Great White Waste. And very few adventurers have ever come back from venturing up there. It's a frozen sheet of ice. It is just a barren wasteland. But that is not to say that it is completely empty. Some travelers and explorers have noted that they found things out there on the ice. Things that would make this seem tame. So yeah, there is a bit of a legend regarding Yeti Isle and the White Wastes and the type of monsters that come from there. Due to Yggdragard sitting at the frozen top of the world, it usually stays out of the politics of the other continents. Of course, the only time when it does get involved is at the Great Assembly, but then it is meant to be more of a neutral ground for all of the rulers to come together and discuss matters. But that basically covers Skaldheim. And with that, we are basically done with our big overview of Absurdia. There are a lot of more miscellaneous stuff that I would love to cover, but that is basically it for just the broad overview. From here on out, I plan on making a bunch of other videos just discussing the lore of like the gods, the mythologies, just the entire timeline. I also want to start making videos about my original characters that inhabit this world, like my player characters. And fuck it, why not? I'm just gonna tell you guys how the D&D campaign is going, as well as this is my first ever long-running campaign that I am DMing. So, yeah, come with me on this journey. We're not done with the roundtable stuff just yet, it's just that, well, I'm into this now. Stay tuned, my friend!